So I decided to come inside uh, after chopping some wood and give my audience a summary of my thoughts after, I don't know, was it 5 or 6 years ago? It was. I was looking around on YouTube, and yeah, back in those days, YouTube was the only game in town really when it came to channels, and I didn't see anybody talking about how the new covenant is for Israel. And years before that, I'm trying to remember how long ago this was. This was right after, not long. I'm not even sure. My wife might have been still alive back then. No, I think she had just passed away. I can't remember. It was, so I was around 33 or 34. And both my dad and myself were kicked out of a congregation. It was his second time to be kicked out of a congregation. He was kicked out of the Amish church the first time back when I was the baby in the family. And so I wanted to say also, before I get into this, that as I remember, my mom told me that there was 4 children at the time. It was a 2-room house. There was no insulation, and the only heat was a wood stove. All right? They were Amish, and they had to, work to make enough money to build a house. But then they've got disfellowshipped. Now, I mentioned that offhand because of this horribly entitled generation that we live in. It is, to me, it is one of the scariest things. There's no way for me to reach these people, this entitled generation. I try. I've tried for the last 5 years. But I knew from the get-go that I was not going to be able to reach them. That I might be able to reach 1 or 2. And so I figured if I would be able to reach 1 or 2, and if by these videos could convince somebody that the new covenant is indeed for Israel, then I will have accomplished something worthwhile, because, quite frankly, within my own self, I have to present something on Judgment Day that would prove myself not completely worthless. I would have had to do something. And far be it from me to know something that the world does not believe and to hide it in the dirt. So I started the YouTube channel. Now, back when I started the YouTube channel, I did not know half the things that I know now. But as I pointed out, that my dad was instrumental in helping me get this started, and he's passed away now. Passed away last summer. But my dad and I, we went to a friend's house in North Carolina. I'm not going to mention the town. And among Seventh-day keepers. Supposedly more in line with the truth than the Sunday people. And so we started talking to them, to the friend and some of his friends about the salvation of Israel is guaranteed, that the new covenant is for Israel. And so young man got very angry. And he says, you need to meet the pastor and he'll straighten you. He'll straighten you out. I said, how's he going to straighten me out? If Paul said that all Israel shall be saved, what kind of argument does your preacher have? He's got nothing. And this young man got angrier and angrier, and then he said, if I had a gun in my truck, I would shoot you. And so, at that particular point in time, me and my dad decided that it was time to go, time to leave. And we went to another Seventh-day keeping congregation to try to convince them the same thing. And they claimed that they don't disfellowship people. But in the end, they told me and my dad, you guys are welcome here and all, but you come in here with both guns blazing. And we said, and what? You uncomfortable with the truth? Is that what the problem is? And so we quit going there, and we realized that we were going to be by ourselves because nobody was going to listen. And like I said, here we are many years later, 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, however long it was, I can't remember. I decided to start a YouTube channel. In those days, unknowingly, using the name God and Jesus, but then I quickly learned that my dad pointed out to me, oh, by the way, son, his name is not Jesus. And in about a day or two, I found out the name Jesus means I am a swine, in both Latin and Greek. And then, of course, a little bit later, I realized that the name of God is the false deity of Gog and Magog. As I've showed you in my videos, I have a whole library of videos on YouTube that you can look at your leisure. But the problem is, folks, I don't think you and I have any more leisure time. I think it's over. Notice I said I think, because no man knows the day nor the hour. And I wasn't sure where I was going to start. I was going to go and start reading off some of these comments in the Bitchute, but I'm going to start first doing this. Hold on. Yeah, that's right. To remind everyone that there are several scriptures that shows that, well, I'll just start with them. I've gone to Haggai 2, probably 100 times. And that's not enough, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go over one by one these particular scriptures. And then I'll go to Joel 2. All right? So we know exactly how this world is going to end. And by saying this world, Roman culture, Roman society, the Greco-Roman Western civilization. So we have at least 2 witnesses. Here's one. The word of Jehovah came into Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, Speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Yehudah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. But he says that I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms. I will destroy the strengths of the kingdoms of the who? Of the Goi, the Gentiles, you see right there. And I will overthrow their chariots, those that ride in them, and their sus, which means birds or war birds, or horses. And the riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. Okay? Now, let's go to, we'll go to Isaiah. Isaiah 60. And boy, King James Version really tried to hide the truth in Isaiah 60, but oh, did I prove to you that they were wrong. This is the time of the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness to people. And what is going to cause that, pray tell? I think we will find out shortly. Jehovah will arise, not the Lord. Jehovah will arise upon you. That's Zion. And his glory shall be seen over you, and the Gentiles will come to your light. Who specifically? Well, when you read in Genesis, is it 9? Where the blessings were handed out to Shem, Ham, and Japheth. There was no blessings handed out to Ham because of what he did to his father, how he disrespected his father, and got a curse upon his own son as a result. And he called Elohim the Elohim of Shem. He said that he's going to widen the tents of Japheth, but that Japheth would wind up in the end living in the tents of Shem. Means he would lose his land, and to what? How would he lose his land? Darkness in the land. They destroyed the land. And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. All right. Yes. Look. Look at the stream. Your inner man shall fear, and Zion will be enlarged to grow wide. Oh! So it's going to be from Japheth growing wide, but then that's going to be taken away from him, and he'll have to live in the tents of Shem, and the tents of Shem via Zion will grow wide, as you see right here. The murmuring crowd, the roaring crowd of the Yam, which is the Mediterranean Sea, will not be converted, but shall be overthrown when the forces of the Gentiles come. It will be their final act. There will be nothing left. They're first going to diminish themselves, apparently, by fighting against each other. And when they come into the Holy Land to invade via the Gog-Magog war, they're going to be attacked by Jehovah himself, and he's going to cause them to fight against each other in the land of Israel. Now what happens? People are flying in the clouds to fly. Flying in the, not as a cloud, in the clouds. Why do they fly in the clouds? Like doves to their windows. Well, no airliners. How else do you fly in the clouds, folks? I know some of you Christians, you still think you're going to be raptured. Okay, the coastlands, that would be the Mediterranean Sea, will have to wait because the ships of Tarshish will be first. The ships of Tarshish will be flying. And as I pointed out to you in previous videos, the ships of Tarshish originally were the ships of Christopher Columbus. And if you go and look up the city of Tarshish, and then you look from where Christopher Columbus's ships traveled from, you would see it is the same exact location I pointed out in a previous video. As I said, you had all this leisure time to look through my videos. I don't think there's much time. I don't think there's any time left because of what's happening in this world. To bring your sons from far and their gold and silver with them unto the name Jehovah, not the Lord. Elohim, to the Holy One, to the Kadosh of Israel, for glory. The sons of strangers shall build up your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For in my wrath have I smote you, Zion, but in my favor I am now having mercy upon you. And your gates will be continually open, that they shall not be shut day nor night, that so that they will bring in the wealth of the Gentiles, the Goy, and that their kings may also be brought, probably in chains. For the nation, the Goy, and kingdom, who will not serve you, shall perish. Yes, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Down here in verse 14, and the sons of them that afflicted you, ecclesia. The Roman and Greek ecclesia has afflicted Israel for nearly, actually no more than 2,000 years. Ecclesia has afflicted Zion for slightly less than 2,000 years, but before they were ecclesia, they were still Greece and Rome. So, all in all, for over 2,000 years, those same people, the sons of Japheth, are going to come what? Bow down unto you. And those who despised you, that spurned you, that had contempt for you, shall bow themselves at the soles of your feet. Now we need to go to Revelation 3. Now to the messenger in the congregation in Philadelphia write these things. Says, he that is holy, he that is true, he has the key of David, and he opens and no man can shut, and shuts and no man opens. I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, and no man can shut it. So this little congregation that was over there in Asia Minor in those days, they will be raised up from the dead, and they are. They are grafted in among the branches of Israel. Paul told the Gentiles in Romans 11 that in order for a Gentile to be saved, they must be grafted in among the branches, and if they do not behave themselves, they're going to be broken off when Israel is grafted back in. Do you need for me to show it to you? I know your works, and for you have a little strength, and you have done what? You have kept my word. What was one of the things that Yehoshua said? I am come to none other than to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And that remains a fact. It means a Gentile, in order to be saved, must be grafted in among the 12 branches of Israel. Hold on, we got another one. And have not denied my name. What is the name of the Moshiach? His name is Yehoshua, not Jesus. Jesus is a denial, a flagrant, outright, and blasphemous denial of his name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, or Zeus, or Jesus, which claim that they are spiritual Israel, and are not, but do lie. And behold, I will come to make them worship before your feet. Now, we were just in Isaiah 60, were we not? Now he's going to make those who had contempt for Zion to come and bow down and worship at the feet of the Jews, and these people, these Gentiles of Philadelphia of those days, have a promise of grafting because they recognized the name of Yehoshua, the real name, and kept his word concerning the new covenant and how it was for Israel. Now, let's go to some of these ridiculous comments in Bitchute. You are Edom, not Israel. The white Anglo-Saxon and kindred's people are the lost tribes. Have fun in hell, Jew. Does that sound like that he wants to be grafted in among the branches of Israel? If he's going to call the Jew something that goes to hell? Well, he has how do you say that? He basically canceled he canceled his own argument. Because Paul said, all Israel shall be saved. That means all the tribes of Israel shall be saved. It's not going to be the lost 10 tribes are going to be saved, but Jews are going to hell. So he canceled himself. So, my response was, you white Anglo-Saxons are a mixture of Gaulish Celtic peoples of Riphath, son of Gomer, grandson of Japheth, and North Germanic Viking peoples of Gog and Magog. Josephus refers to, then I borrow from Wikipedia. Josephus refers to Magog, the son of Japheth, as a progenitor of the Scythians, or people north of the Black Sea. According to him, the Greeks called Scythia Magogia. Now, what's north of the Black Sea, folks? Russia, Ukraine, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and those peoples moved down and they mixed themselves among the British and Germans, and also the Danes are also, as you will see in this particular, now there had been erroneous claims that the Danish people are somehow the sons of Dan. They are not. And I'll show you how they got their name. An alternate identification derived from an examination of the order in which tribal names are listed in Ezekiel 38 would place Magog between Cappadocia and Media. That was in the early days. Jordanes Getica 551 mentions Magog as an ancestor of the Goths, which would be the Swedes, the Finns, and Norwegians, as does the Historia Brittonum, but Isidore of Seville. Now, Seville was in Spain. And of course, these are white Germanic peoples, you see, as they like to love to throw in everybody's faces. Asserts that this identification was popular because of the similarity of the last syllable. Epidemiology, what is that? Is that 11? 89, Johannes Magnus. 1488 through 1544 states that Magog migrated to Scandinavia via Finland 88 years after the flood, and his 5 sons were Sueno, ancestor of the Swedes, Gethar, or Gog, ancestor of the Goths. Ubor, who later ruled the Swedes and built Old Uppalasa. Thor and German, Magnus's accounts, became accepted at the Swedish court for a long time. Magnus's account became accepted at the Swedish court for a long time, and even caused the dynastic numerals of the Swedish monarchs to be renumbered accordingly. Queen Christina of Sweden reckoned herself as number 249 in the list of kings going back to Magog. Magnus also influenced several later historians such as Daniel Juslenius, who derived the roots of the Finns from Magog. According to several medieval Irish chronicles, most notably the Ora Sept, I can't speak Old Irish. The Irish race are a composite. They're mixed, including descendants of Japheth's sons Magog from Scythia, Baath Mac Magog, Boath, Jobhath, and Fathocha are 3 sons of Magog. Phineas Pharsade, Partholon, Nemid, the fig bog, the Tuatha de Danann, and the Milesians among Magog's descendants. Danann. The Tuatha de Danann, the Danes are also related, and that's where the Danes got their name from. There was also medieval Hungarian legend that says the Huns, that's the Hungarians, not the Far Eastern people, as well as the Magyars, are descended from the twin brothers named Hunor and Magor respectively, who lived by the Sea of Azov in the years after the flood and took wives of the Alans. And the Alans, of course, were Germans, or Gomer. So, does he have an argument? Nope. All he could do was spew hate. And these people who say these things, they are sons of Japheth, and they're going to have to come down and bow before the feet of Israel. It says so in Isaiah, and it was not spiritualized away in Revelation. You see, these people of Philadelphia, they were mocked and ridiculed too. Gentiles, who were also called Jews. And there was Christianity before Yehoshua. As I pointed out many times before, that Jesus Christos, hold on, Krios. Was in 834 BCE. Right here. I showed this to you, folks. Jesus or Eros, 834 BCE. And so, who was he? He was the Druid Savior. Justin Taylor does an excellent job. Azus, also known as Jesus, is a personal name of the Celtic Druid sun savior closely associated to Jupiter or Zeus. The Druids were a priestly tribe of the Celtic Gaul, present-day Germany, England, France, and some parts of Scandinavian countries, aka Gog and Magog. And also Russia and Ukraine. And what day was Jesus born? December the 25th. 834 BCE. This is what the world thinks is their Savior. This Jesus Krios cannot save them. He is actually a fake and a fraud. As I pointed out in another video, the world's 16 crucified saviors. Where did I see this? Baal of Phoenicia. And he also, this Jesus, I can't find it, but it's in here. I usually have a hard time finding it if I don't save it. Or maybe, okay. But I showed it to you in the, right here. Okay. Last visit was 12/8/21, and that was probably when I did my last video. So you can go scroll through my videos by dates and check out which video it was that I did talking about the world's fake saviors. This religion was almost 1,000 years. It was almost 1,000 years before the real Messiah, the real Moshiach. And this is how these guys talk. You see, you are Edom, not Israel. The white Anglo-Saxon and kindred peoples are the lost tribes. And he canceled himself, because if he would have bothered to read the scripture, he would have realized that all the tribes of Israel are going to be saved. But no, see, he tried to hide, this wolf tried to hide behind the lost tribes of Israel, but his hatred of the Jews showed that he was the wolf after all. What a fool. Then this guy, James Gardner 757, you sound like an arrogant, self-righteous, all-knowing prick. The Jews are the problem. You see, it's the same refrain. So I asked him, have you ever bothered to take up the scriptures and debate me? No, why not? Is it because I'm telling the truth? So because you are unable to undermine the truth, you resort to name-calling. For 2 millennia, your kind has attempted thousands of times to wipe the name of Israel off the face of the earth and have failed. The day is coming that which was done to Israel so many times will be done to all of Israel's enemies. And that brings me to, is it this one? Right. So, Rome was the one, or the people of Rome, I should say, the people of Rome were the ones who blasphemed and destroyed the holy city for 42 months. They besieged it for 42 months and then proceeded to destroy it for another 42 months. And he made war with the Kodesh, the Jews, and overcame them. But then, there's going to come a time that he that leads into captivity, he that led Israel into captivity, the sons of Japheth, are going to go into captivity. He that killed with the sword, the sons of Japheth, shall be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the Kodesh, the Jews. This is what they're patiently and faithfully waiting for. This will be destroyed. But Jehovah is going to make sure they do it, everyone by the hand of his brother, as we read in Haggai, which will prove that they will be disqualified. They have disqualified themselves from ruling the earth by killing each other. Now I do want to go to where it says, how art thou fallen, O Lucifer? Because there's something that's written down below there that's really interesting. This is talking to the king of Babylon. All right, what is the first thing it says? Jehovah will have mercy on Jacob, will again choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and strangers, sojourners, will be grafted in, like the people of Philadelphia, among them. So there will be those Gentiles who will convert via Yehoshua the Moshiach. They are grafted in among the branches of Israel. They will literally become a member of one of the tribes. And they will cleave, attach themselves to the house of Jacob. And the Gentiles shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess the Gentiles in the land of Jehovah for servants and handmaids, and shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. How many scriptures do I need to give you? It shall come to pass in the day that Jehovah will give you rest from your sorrow and from your fear and from the hard bondage which you were made to serve. And then you will take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. And what is the king of Babylon, folks? It's going to be in the next Revelation chapter that I'm going to go to in just a few minutes here. And say, how has the oppressor Shabbat rests, to cease? How has the oppressor ceased? And the golden city. Let's look at this city, golden city. Maybe we should call it that. Eternals. Watch this, folks. I'll show it to you in a minute. Jehovah broke the staff of the wicked and the scepter of Mashal, dominion. He smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, and ruled the Gentiles with anger. And now they are being chased, persecuted. And nobody can stop it. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet, and breaks forth into singing. The fir trees rejoice, and the cedars of Lebanon says, since you are laid down, no feller can come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for you, to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones of all the kings of the Gentiles. And metaphorically they speak and say to you, are you become weak? Or, what is it? Yeah, are you become weak like us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your what? The noise of your skins of wine, your jars, clatter of your jars, your earthen pitchers. The worms are spread under you, and the worms cover you. How art thou fallen, not O Lucifer, but shining one, Halel, son, or let's see, Ben Dawn. How are you cut down to the ground, you who did prostrate all the other nations? For you said in your heart, I will ascend into the sky. You said you were going to go to heaven when you died. This is what you taught your people. and that you would sit with the highest, exalt my throne above the stars. Let's see here. Upwards, upwards to the stars of Elohim. I will sit also in the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, and I will ascend above the heights of the clouds and be like the Most High. All Christianity teaches this. And it's a lie. You will never go to heaven when you die. But instead you will be brought down to Sheol, to the sides of the pit. And they that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, This is the man that made the earth to tremble and did shake the kingdoms. You turned the world to a wilderness and destroyed the cities. Yes, Rome did it. Not just the first Rome, but the second Rome and the third Rome. What? What is Henry talking about? And you did not open the house of the prisoners. You did not let them loose. All the kings of the Gentiles, even all of them, lie in state, every one in his own house. But you are thrown out of your grave like an abominable branch, as the clothing of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down, kind of like Benito Mussolini and his concubine did, to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under the feet. You shall not have a regular burial, a regular state burial. No. Why? Because you have destroyed. Now there's two ways to look at this, folks, but see, King James Version says you have destroyed your own land and slain your people. But I see it as you destroyed the Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, and slain those people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare the slaughter for his children, his ancestors, his descendants, for the iniquity of their fathers. That's right. You heard it correctly. So that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the earth with their Western civilization cities ever again. For I will rise up against them, says Jehovah of hosts, and cut them off from Babylon the name, the remnant, the son, the nephew, and everything. And I will make it a possession of the bittern and the pools of water, and will sweep it with the broom of destruction. Extermination. You don't believe it? Shamad means extermination or destroyed. Now, the judgment on Babylon. Now, in Revelation 16:19 in King James Version, it is deceptive. It says, and the great city. Oh, hold on. What city? Why is Rome called the eternal city? Shall never see destruction. Rome is called the eternal city because ancient Romans believed that no matter what happened to the world or how many empires rose or fell, that Rome would go on forever. And they call it the holy city, replacing Jerusalem as the holy city. You see. But Babylon is now 3. Let's go back. No, it's this one, right? Now we look in Young's literal translation, and it colors the meaning a little bit differently. And it came to pass the great city does not say was divided into 3 parts. It just says was 3 parts. And the cities of the Gentiles did fall, because Babylon the Great was remembered before Elohim. All right. Rome number 1. That's obviously the one in Italy. Now, my rear end is getting sore, so I can't stay on the seat too long. But what was the second Rome? Constantinople. See that? It's right there. It's right there in front of you. Second Rome is commonly referred to as Constantinople, which was the capital of the Roman Empire from 330 onwards. Is there a third? Yes, there is. Are you ready? Let's Google it. Third Rome. See, studying the Bible is really not that difficult if you use the right tools. Third Rome refers to the doctrine that Russia, or specifically Moscow, succeeded Rome and Byzantium Rome. It says, the cities of the Gentiles, let's go look at Strong's Concordance. And the great city became, not divided, does not say divided, it just says became 3. It became 3. Well, we have 3. Three portions. Rome, Constantinople, which today is Istanbul, which, by the way, Constantinople was burned to the ground by the Crusaders, the 10 kings, so to speak. And then eventually the Ottoman Turks took it. But it is still houses the Constantinople Orthodox Church. And then there's Moscow. And the cities of the Gentiles fell as great Babylon came into remembrance before Elohim to give unto her a cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So the cities of the Gentiles are going to be all destroyed. And there will be no place for the sons of Japheth to live. And let me say this to the so-called African American community. Please do not be offended by what I am about to say. Run for your life. Get the hell out of this country. Go back to Africa. Do it, and do it now. If you are not willing to graft yourself among the Jews, to consider them your brother, then get out of here. Get out. Because the place will become uninhabitable. Everywhere where the sons of Japheth are in charge will be uninhabitable. Go back to Africa. Do it now! I'm not joking. I'm as serious as I can be. Get out of here. Save yourselves. And don't go to North Africa. Make sure you go down into the Central Africa. Among people who never persecuted Israel. Like I said, if you're not willing to call the Jews your brothers, there are many of you who silently, when you're around white folks in this country, you silently hide your contempt for the Jews, but when you're among your own brothers, when you think nobody will hear, you speak contemptibly of the Jews too. I know this. I have plenty of black acquaintances. I know that this is rife in the black community. You have the same contempt and gall in your heart for the Jew as the guy I pointed out on Bitchute commentary. It's just that cancer is just infected among your people as it is the sons of Japheth. So do yourself a favor. Get out of here. Slip away from get yourself away from the judgment that's coming upon the sons of Japheth, because it's coming. But what are you going to do, Henry? What are you going to do? When that day comes, no, before the day comes, I have said 5 years ago, I have said 4 years ago, I have said 3 years ago, I've said 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The Jews people are my people. Their Elohim is my Elohim. Wherever the Jews go, when the great dispersion commences, that's where I will go. And I will meet my fate, my judgment there in Jerusalem. That's where I'm going. I hope that at least some of you in my audience feel the same way. If so, then I think that I have done my job. And why am I saying I don't think we have a lot of time? I hope you're watching the news. I hope you are. If you're not watching the news, folks, and I'm not talking about mainstream news, I pointed out alternative sources that you can look at in the previous video. You better pay attention. You don't want this to come down on you unawares. Oh, I have one more scripture to show you, I think. Watching. Okay. Blessed is he who watch. Let's see if I can see if it's there. Is found. Oh, here we go. Well, that's not the one I'm looking for. But it means the same thing. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he who stays and remains clothed, figuratively speaking. So it's not, and that literally too. Keeping his garments. Okay, so that's not the one that I was looking for. I have to give me a second. I have to think about this for a minute. I say unto one, and I say unto all, watch. This shows Mark 13:37. Take heed and watch and pray, for you know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey who left his house, and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Alright, so watch you therefore. For you know not when your master of the house is coming, even or at evening, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest somebody finds you sleeping. So, you don't want to be caught sleeping, because if you're caught sleeping, you're going to end up as the 5 foolish virgins of Matthew 25. And I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. Now, let's see here. Would it be here? All right. 36, Matthew 24. But the day and the hour knows no man, not even the messengers of the sky, but my Father only. He didn't even know. But as in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that they were in before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage. And what happens? Well, they're just going to blow each other up. Oh, and I have a message to you Jews out there too. You know, I told the in the United States and in Britain and in all these other countries, the Jews, get out of the city. Get out now. Get out. Until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Now, watch therefore, for you know not what hour your master comes. But if the good man of the house had known in which watch, that would be evening, night, or in the morning, the thief would have come, he would have watched, he would not have allowed his house to be broken up. Yes, if Rome knew what time he was coming, he would have been ready. Rome doesn't know. Western civilization does not know. But you should know. You should know if you have been reading the scriptures that I've been pointing out to you on these videos. You know. And especially with Joel 2, verses 30, 31, and 32, where it says, as I pointed out in the last video, where it says pillars of smoke. It says blood in the sky, blood on the earth. Pillars of smoke that look like palm trees. Wow. Sounds like nukes to me. That which is written in Zechariah 14 sounds like nukes to me. That which is written in the sixth trumpet sounds like nukes to me, and quite frankly, the same exact in the sixth seal. It says the same thing in a slightly different way, but it says the same thing as Joel 2. Therefore be you ready, for in such an hour as you think not the Son of Man comes. Who is that faithful and wise servant whom his master has made ruler over his household to give him meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant, the man in Rome in particular, but it applies to anyone who applies to, shall say in his heart, my master delays his coming, and he shall begin to smite his fellow servants, the Jews, and to eat and drink with the drunken. The master of that servant shall come in a day when he is not looking for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and will cut him asunder, and appoint his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. It's coming, folks. Whether you're ready for it or not makes no difference. But if you're ready, if you are watching, if you are prepared, you will be joining the 5 wise. You will not be caught unawares. You will not be calling Israel's Moshiach the Antichrist.